The biggest battle we will ever have to face is the battle between you and you. It's the battle of taking your mind to that limit and then breaking through. On the Mindful Experiment podcast, we will share concepts, universal laws, and interviewing individuals who have done just that, who have gone through the dark times and through those moments allowed their light to shine bright. I'm your host, Dr. Vic Manzo, and I want to thank you for listening to the podcast and taking this journey with me as we discover different avenues to break through those limits, expand your reality, and evolve into the person you desire to be. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the show. Well, hello, everyone, and welcome. This is Dr. Vic, and you are listening to the Mindful Experiment. I want to thank you for tuning in on an episode that I do once a week, sharing an insight, something that I may have talked about with a coaching client, maybe something I've heard in my office, or something along the lines to where I thought it may have been inspirational to share with you and put on this podcast. So thank you for tuning in, as today we're going to talk a lot about life energy. Now, I'm going to speak about life energy in a different context, in a different way than I have done before. Most of the time when I speak about life energy and communicate about it, it's mostly on focus, attention, manifestation, visualization, your vibrational frequency, your state of mind, your being, all that fun jazz. In this case, though, it's about more of an action, something that you do almost probably on a daily or every other day type of a basis. And that is money, spending money. Okay. Now, to break it down very simple, money is all but life energy. That's all it is. It is nothing more, nothing less. It's not good. It's not bad. It's just life energy. And so what happens, though, is with money, anything that you put it towards gives energy to. It gives life to something. So if you're going to, let's say, you don't like the way a corporation works, but yet you buy their products or whatever it may be, or you don't like the way things are being done, but you keep spending the money towards it, you're giving that corporation power. You're giving your power to the corporation. You're giving it life energy. But not only that, you take it even to a grander scale. You're giving life energy to that industry, to the existence of what it is. So, for example, if you shop at a certain grocery store, you give life energy to that grocery store. You give it power to exist, to fulfill its values, its visions, its dreams, its goals, and so much more. The thing about life today is that you hear about, we need to have Donald Trump do X, Y, Z in the United States. We need to have the prime minister of this country do X, Y, Z in that country. We need legislation to push through these laws and X, Y, Z. The problem with that is you don't realize that there's an illusion to think that the politicians have the power and the people don't. It's been the biggest lie on humanity to think that they don't have the power. And humans have been in the dark for thousands upon thousands of years, thinking that they never had the power, that it was the politicians that did. But the truth be told, the powers that be and the politicians don't want you to know this thing about what I'm going to share. And it's not a conspiracy. It's just truth. It's a universal law that money is all but life energy. If you want to change the way this country works, change the way we spend the money. If you want to change the way a certain thing is being done, spend money on what you believe in. Spend money. Put your money where your mouth is, right? You've heard that before. Put your money where your mouth is. What is it you state that you believe in? Put your money there. For example, if you're a vegan, not that I'm against vegans, but if you're a vegan, right? Vegans say there's a certain diet they live to, there's a certain thing they follow and a principle that they follow. Mm-hmm. They put their money in the aspects of consuming products and things that have nothing to do with animals whatsoever. Any animal byproducts, whatever it may be. Okay. They fund that because they believe in that. Someone that may be paleo is a whole different ballgame. And I'm using this as an example because if you go on Netflix and look at all the health movies that are out there, a lot of them bash meat, right? There's a lot of them that will talk negative about meat in some shape or form. And I always bring up the argument that I've never seen them bash grass-fed, organic, pasture-raised meats because you can't. They're beneficial. They're healthy to you. Don't even bring the argument up. This is one of the things about arguments. You only bring up an argument that you know you can win. You never bring up an argument you don't know what the outcome could be. It's just debating 101. And so the thing is, though, if you want to change the way corporations are treating cows, if you want to change farms in the essence of how they're doing things, start putting your money to farms that do it in a more humane way, a more grass-fed way, treat how they're supposed to treat the cows. And so it's one of those things where we want to make sure that when it comes to funding a certain method, you want to fund what is good. Just like, for example, a lot of people now glyphosate is being called out, and there's movement of, showing that their foods or certain products are glyphosate free because of how negative it is to our health. Monsanto, the company that owns it, Roundup is their main product. In order to change the industry, Monsanto has a lot of power. They're owned by Bayer now. They were bought for $60 billion. That's a big company. And so they have a lot of power. They have a lot of lobbyist power. They have a lot of legislation power and so much more. But if you think that the power is in the politicians, you'll never win. But if you start to realize that the power is in you and you use that based on your life energy and how you spend your money and where you put it towards and give life to, it becomes a game changer. Right now there's a huge movement for mandating vaccines. And I don't care if you're a pro or anti or whatever it may be. The point is someone telling you that they can do whatever they want with your child and your own body, that you don't have a choice, and that at the end of the day, they can inject anything they want because once vaccines are mandated, I don't care what, you've heard it here first. Once vaccines are mandated, they can inject anything in you. Next thing you know, it's going to be a kidney for the greater good of all. And whatever they deem possible, they can push over to you. And now all of a sudden you lost all your rights. That's where it comes down to the biggest movement of it all. And so when you look at that perspective, right, some people say, well, it's just going to happen no matter what. In chiropractic, being a chiropractor, the one thing that's the most absurd thing to put into profession is medications. We are so opposite of that. We are about the power that made the body heals the body. We work with the power of the natural healing abilities that the body has. We help with the communication systems of the body to improve it to be the best that it possibly can. All the information and all healing happens from above down, inside and out. It happens no other way. The job of a chiropractor is to facilitate the healing, find where the blockage of healing is happening at, remove that interference, and allow the body to thrive the way it was designed to. Simple concepts, simple philosophy, simple truths, right? But now they're going to be putting medications into the world. And I always tell the chiropractors or anyone that I talk to, in order to change this, because it's going to happen, the powers that be in our profession are pushing that way. But here's the thing. Stop funding the organizations that are for it. Fund only the organizations that are not. Life energy, you change the ballgame. This is a universal law. It works in all things because money is all but life energy. Where you spend your money is what's going to give more life to. So if there's a cause that you're trying to work for, make sure the cause fits you. When it comes to things like cancer, diabetes, heart disease, right? Cancer is the biggest one. What do people say all the time about cancer? Oh, we're fighting cancer. We're going to fight to find a cure. Anytime you resist, things persist. You keep putting money to these organizations, they're only going to create more of the issue. When it comes to medical health, the same thing happens in the health field and so forth, is that in the medical world, right, they're all about sick care. The more money we keep putting into sick care, the more sicknesses what we're going to experience in this world. And if you think I'm talking crazy, fact check me. I dare you, because you're going to look at all the rates of diseases skyrocketing. They're getting more and more and more. Cancer and heart disease in America, 5 out of 6 people are going to experience it. Autism is less than 1 out of 18. Yes, I know there was a new study that came out that said 1 out of 38, but when we're looking at 30-year-olds and the percentages of people who are getting diagnosed at that rate, it's 1 out of 18. ADHD is over 1 out of 9. The rates are just skyrocketing. Mental illness taking over the world. In the United States, it's 1 out of 5. We're seeing more and more issues rise. Why? Because we're putting life energy into a sick care system, which is only going to provide more sick care. If we truly want to achieve health care, if we truly want to change the world and what we do, we must invest in health care, true health care systems. Things like chiropractic. I don't say this because I'm a chiropractor. I say this because I've experienced it with my life and the thousands of people I had the blessing to serve, to see what has happened to them and how their life has transformed. They truly got their health back. Just this week, I had someone in my office, an adult, and she was talking about how I was her last hope, right? I can't tell you how many times I hear that term. You're my last hope, doc. I had another gentleman who is having a condition where the doctors have no answers. And it's basically going to be, yeah, we're going to have you, your life's going to be shortening up a little at a time. And he came to me and said, you're my last hope. I've had people come up, children, you're my last hope. Not the child, the mother saying that. Infants, children 2, 3, 4, 5 years old. They've done everything in the books. And still to this day, they're saying that they're the last hope. Because we're feeding a system that is a sick care-based system. And the power resides in you. You are a creator. And what you spend your money on is what you give life energy to. And I hope that makes sense. I hope I'm crystal clear with this. I'm being very passionate about this because I think it's a principle that humans need to come back to remember, that when you want to change the world, when you want to change something, we have a way of doing it so simplistically. Money. Imagine if people started to boycott things. Imagine if we started to transform certain things that weren't for life. What would change? It would happen in a day. If we all let's say we demanded we want to see better products out of this grocery store, and everyone stopped going there for 1 day, 2 days, 3 days, that company will change instantly. The thing is, we have to remember that we have the power. And when we work together, which they don't want us to work together, when I say they, I'm talking about the powers that be. It's all about divide and conquer. The more we can keep you divided, the more we can conquer, the more you won't remember to stick together. The only way you'll stick together is you'll feed their causes instead of our own. It's a psychological war we're going through. And it's one of those things that we need to take the time to focus on where we spend our energy. That's why for me, number one, I spend my energy on me. I invest in me. I spend my money on me. Why? Because I spend it on my health, which is my biggest priority. Then the second thing I focus on is, after my health, I focus on what is the things I need to grow as an individual. My marriage, relationships, my family, friends, my mindset, my health, my physical aspects, my well-being, all that. The greatest investment you can ever make on your life is you. The greatest investment that you can ever make in your life is you. You'll get the biggest return more than anything else. So I invest in myself every year, and it goes up more and more every year. And no joke, I spent over $20,000 last year on me. Why? Because it was that important. And I'm going to keep increasing that every year. Because what I learned is the more I invest in me, the more my life grows and expands. The more I have more fulfillment in life. Jay-Z said it best when he was being interviewed, I believe, by Ryan Seacrest. I could be wrong about this interview, but I know what he said is accurate. And that is, Jay-Z, what is one thing you wish you knew, or one regret you had that you wish you had when you were at a younger age? And the response Jay-Z said was, it's priceless. He said, the one thing is, I wish I could believe in myself sooner. Because he goes, if I believed in myself sooner, it'd been monumentally different. But he goes, this is part of life. And the thing is, you got to believe in yourself, and then you got to invest in yourself. And that's how you change things. If you want to change the world and change what we do, that is one of the biggest things that we have to focus on, is to make sure that we are always, always, always focusing on what matters most to our hearts. And let your money dictate the power, because together, if we as a society work together, that is when we can create massive transformation. And that is when, at that moment, we can actually take back what it is we desire. I don't know if you can hear my dog barking, but he's pumped up about it too. So I digress, but as the same thing, guys, as I wind down this podcast, it's one of those things where you have the power. Pay attention where you focus your money on. If there's something that you believe that we should be doing more of, put your money there. One of the things my wife and I do all the time is we fund and pay for our meats and our animal products from local farmers to help support local farming so that we can help them thrive instead of going to the big stores and so forth. We also do this with our produce, and we actually are starting to potentially, we're going to be investing in chicken so we can have our own eggs so that we know where our eggs come from and that we can invest, and we invested into it and we know we'll have a return because we know where our birds come from. We know how we can take care of them. We know what we can feed them. We have a lot of control on that. And so we're always investing in ways of how my wife and I can improve our health for ourselves and our family and so much more. So pay attention to where you're spending your money and focus on you. Make yourself the biggest priority. If there's something that you're holding yourself back from doing, from seeing, from feeling, whatever it may be, something you wanted to learn that you did not really taking time to do, go do it because you are the greatest investment. And the only way you can attract more money in your life, no matter what, is by creating more of the energy in you, the life energy within you. And when you do that, money becomes a byproduct of it. So I want to thank you guys for taking part of this. These are things I share in my 5-week vision course. This is what we hammer out, a lot of this stuff, because we teach in 5 weeks how to manifest your legacy. We teach you how to use universal laws and vision and the power of visualization. We use many different mindset techniques, and we use the power of flow, state of being, and all that good stuff to teach. That's why so many people who have done the program have noticed how transformational it has been for them. It has transformed their lives, and it continues to do so. And they're working way less and getting more results because of it. So stay tuned. That we just closed our last one we had for this quarter, and we're going to probably do one right at the end of the second quarter of this year. So keep a lookout. And so, as always, I appreciate you guys. If you like the podcast, please share a review on iTunes, share a review on Podbean, share a review on Spotify, wherever you listen to this at. Please take a moment and just take less than 30 seconds to do that. It means a lot, and it gets the word out there if you really thought what I shared today and I share in all my podcasts is valuable. Well, I appreciate you guys tuning in, and until next time, keep rocking and rolling. Thank you for listening to the podcast. For past shows, please visit www.empoweryourreality.com. I hope this show inspired you and added to your life to help you on the journey to rediscover who you really are. To connect with us on Facebook, please visit www.facebook.com/Dr. Vic Manzo. Check us out on Twitter. The handle is Dr. Vic21. Follow us on Instagram, www.instagram.com/Dr. Vic Manzo. If you were inspired by the podcast, pay it forward by sharing it with someone who you know can benefit from it. Thank you again for listening to the Mindful Experiment podcast, sharing paths to help you rediscover your infinite potential.